Hello, how's it going, guys? Today I am going to be talking to you guys about um, five readings that I chose, two short stories and then two poems, and I also chose another poem, so total of three poems. And today I'm going to just tell you what I got out of those poems and short stories and tell you a little bit about the literary devices. I'm going to go over tone, symbolism, allegory, metaphor, and narrator. So the first poem that I'm going to talk about is by Langston Hughes. It's Mother to Son. It reads, "Well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time I see been a climbing on, and reaching lands, and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark, where there ain't been no light. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you set down on the steps, 'cause you finds it's kinda hard. Don't you fall down now, where I'd see still going, honey. I'd see still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair." So the tone and language is obviously is kind of hard for me to read. Just the language is a little bit different. But the tone for this poem would be as like a calming tone, as reference to the title, Mother to Son. The mother is trying to give a kind of to her son that life is not really so easy as you may seem it is. So to kind of touch base on the theme of innocence and experience, so the son being maybe being innocent, but also um, the mother has more experience than the son. So the mother is trying to tell the son that life isn't easy. There's bumps in the road. There's splinters, and this is kind of a clear picture of like what she's experienced, and just these she's just relating with these words of like life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So it hasn't been very easy, and with a stair meaning it goes up and down. So there's always ups and downs in lives, and there's the stairs um, will wear out. And so I feel like the tone in this, I really, really liked it. That's why I picked it. Just because it really shows that in writing and in just poetry and just that in general, you can create a really good message by just putting short information and show that this is was kind of hard for me to read at first, but it's telling me that life's not easy. And the second poem that I chose was The Lamb by Blake. And so this is from the Songs of Innocence, and I chose symbolism. Um, and the lamb reads, "Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream and o'er the mead, gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright, gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee, little lamb, I'll tell thee. He is called by thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild. He became a little child. I a child, and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. So, this to talk about innocence and experience. I would see a lamb or a sheep um, as innocent in reference to the Bible, how um, David watches over like flocks of sheep, and how that just represents that David is guiding the sheep or the lamb, and that would represent like the people. Um, and the lamb has been sacrificed many times in the Bible. And I just really like this poem because a little lamb doesn't do much. It eats grass and stuff like that. So just the symbolism of the lamb, and I think that it just represents how God loves us so much and that He wants to protect us. And like it says, He is meek and He is mild, and He became a little child. Um, we are called by His name. So um, I really liked it because the symbol of being a Christian and just talking about the life that we live and just how we are, how God Himself gives us so much grace and forgives us for anything and everything we do, but that does not mean that we keep doing what we're doing. But it just gives us assurance that God loves us and He wants to be there for us. So I really like that one. And the next one is by the same author, Blake, The Tiger, the Song of Experience. So to read Tiger, Tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame at thy fearful symmetry? In what distant, deeper skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What hammer, what the chain? In the furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp? Dare its deadly terror's glass? Where the steels threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears. Did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Again, this poem was kind of confusing for me. Just the language is hard to read, but I mean it is songs of experience. So to talk about that first is that this is just this experience of life about just how things can just turn for the worst. And this kind of relates to the Lamb poem, and just did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright. So I don't know if they're referencing like a tiger as a animal, but um, I just think that this is a cool poem to read because it gives an experience and it kind of makes me try to picture what is really happening. Like I said, it is hard to picture stuff, but with this, it's so many visual references. What the hammer, what the chain, and then thy heart began to beat. And then to touch base on innocence, this is just, um, I think with this one, the stairs threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears. So just like, I feel like this has to do with um, Christianity also, this poem, just because it's talking about heaven and just I guess someone's crying, and it's they want to be innocent and vulnerable as being a Christian. But again, like I said, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around this poem, but I thought it was interesting. The next um, story is The Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. I'm not going to read it all, but just something that really touched, uh, like really stood out to me is just how it seems like a mother-daughter relationship is a parent telling their kid what to do, and it starts off wash the white clothes on Monday and put them on the stone heap, wash the color clothes on Tuesday. So it's a step by step on how to live your life in the household. So I think to touch with experience, the mother is wanting to create these experiences for her daughter or her kid, um, to know what to do when they do move out or do move to the real life and grow up. Um, so that way, you don't you're not lost. You know how to do things. You know how to operate as a human being. So, from my person, like to kind of relate to my personal experience, yes, I was brought up. Yes, I had to do chores. So, and I think that is a great thing to do because if I look at myself, um, I don't think that I wouldn't I wouldn't know how to clean my dorm room. I wouldn't, like yeah, I would figure it out on myself by myself. But it's just better, to create that habit now, and so that way you can show that to your kids and on. So it's just, I think that this one is just talking about just the experience of the mother to the daughter, of how her mother knows these things and is passing down to her daughter. And with the innocence, um, maybe the daughter is innocent and just is just soaking in this information like a sponge. And I chose to talk about the literary devices allegory. It's just a short story that is just, it means something to, it's kind of like like a hidden meaning. So it's like you don't really, yeah, you kind of read this and you're like, well, I don't know, maybe I need to reread this again. But I think the hidden message is, or hidden meaning is just how the mother is just so involved and dedicated to her daughter's life and how she's showing her how to do things. And the last part, or the last short story that I am going to talk about, is kind of very similar to Girl. It is Half a Day by Naguib Mahfouz. And I did narrator just because Half a Day, it's about this is how I took it, is that the father is taking his son to school, is kind of telling him that school isn't a punishment, that school is a positive thing. You're going to learn things, you're going to be a better person by learning different aspects of life, whether it be at home or school. So, this is a short story of how um, this boy is going to school. He's asking, "Why school?" I challenge my father openly. "I shall never do anything to annoy you." And it states, "I'm not punishing you," he said, laughing. "School's not a punishment. It's the factory that makes useful men out of boys. Don't you want to be like your father and brothers?" And so the narrator is just creating a really, really good picture, as in of I've been in the same situation, like you know, school is school. It's required and it's gonna make you be better, even though you may not think so. So I just really like the half a day, and for being a boy and just relating to my dad, and just how we would clash heads just about the stupidest things. But at the end of the day, I know that my dad has wisdom and guidance. So, to touch base about innocence and experience again, the dad is having this experience with his son and kind of sharing these these things and giving his son advice, so that way when he does go to school, that he knows that it's not a punishment, that he knows it's not going to be bad, he knows that he's going to do well. So it's kind of like the father encouraging the son to do great because he will. And then to touch base on innocence, I mean, starting school, like you're innocent, in a sense, because you're not doing anything unless you get in trouble. Um, but for the most part, I really liked this week overall. It was really, really interesting to see like different piece of work, and I like how Girl and Half a Day kind of um, relate to each other, because it's cool to see, in my opinion, how the writer kind of tells the reader, creates a picture of a father son and a mother daughter relationship, and just kind of being there for them. And but I really enjoyed these poems too, even though that they're hard to read and understand. But that just makes me better as a reader. Like I personally don't like to read things I don't feel interested in. So this is a cool step for me. Just learning different authors and things like that. So I just want to thank you for listening to this, and I want to thank you for just Professor Lamont. I just want to thank you for just your time and just showing me these new authors and new pieces of work. Thank you so much.